to the angel of this house. The man with the yellow brick road shoes on. I tell you, I like his style. I like his style. I love his spirit. I just love his spirit, and I just like his hospitality. And once again, let's show him some love, y'all. And let's love your wife. Let's love your wife. If you are looking in the dictionary under lovely wife, I saw a picture of her in there. Sometimes I like to get all the good stuff out front, because sometimes I forget. I'll be so high in the spirit, I forget. Sometimes you be so high in the spirit, you forget people's names. I'm talking about my own kids. But I'm honored to have my lovely wife in the house. I first was going to actually go all the single men out first, so I can make sure I keep my eyes on them first. You know what I'm saying? Then I say that's my wife. You know what I'm saying? I want to thank my two preachers here, Minister Saunders and Minister Lewis, and his lovely wife. He want to relax, and I like for them to relax, and he have his lovely wife with him. My church administration, she I couldn't function without her. She takes care of me, and sometimes she's my mind. She got to remind me of stuff. You know what I'm saying? You need people like that. They got a heart for you. And I got Gina and Lenore. Come on, baby. She my faithful sister, Sister Rhonda, and my great godchild with her. He said he want to go hear OG. And I want to just thank my sister. She always supported me throughout the years. She always, and I really appreciate her for that. If I say, wherever I'm preaching, she said, where you at, OG? I'm there. All right. That means so much to me. That means a lot, man. And I could be living in a day and age where, I have 4 daughters, but I don't know where they are. Friday. It's Friday night. It's Friday night and they're young. So I get to the point now where, you got to move on, because I was young. Yeah. Amen. Amen. And I had a pastor that was looking for me on a Friday night. And I just believe in being honest, because church wasn't a priority for me either. Amen. And I wasn't a bad guy. Talk about it. But as you get older, you make God a priority in your life, not an option. Amen. But just the fact that they're on Sunday, you better thank God for that. Come on, let's be honest. Because some people are so super religious and so spiritual, that's why your kids don't come to church at all. So I take a Wednesday and a Sunday, any day. So let's be real about this thing, y'all. Come on, y'all. Y'all wouldn't say it all your life. So it's like, church is a little different these days, See, I drive for Frito-Lay. Been on my job for 30 years, and I deal with everybody, and I don't like to tell everybody I'm a preacher, because I got to deal with prepared people, and I don't like to deal with prepared people. So I like to deal with real people. I got to deal with women saying my wife. I ain't used to that. But I had to get used to that. I got to get used to a woman saying, yeah, my wife. And they got so deep on me till I had to ask a question. I said, I don't mean no harm. She said, I got my wife pregnant. Oh. I said, wait a minute on this one. I said, I don't mean no harm. I ain't discriminating. I don't want you to take it the wrong way. But how did that happen? I want to know how that happened. Because I as a pastor, I need to know that. But I didn't tell her I was a pastor. I need to know how that happened. How did that happen? She said, well, I got a donor. So you got a donor. He put something in the capsule. Capsule? I said, oh, okay. I said, wow. I said, yeah. And what happened when me and my wife together, we had a syringe. And that night, and I got her pregnant. Whoa! See, y'all, I didn't know that. That's something new to me. See, y'all, I mean, I don't know if y'all knew that. So she said, I got my wife pregnant. So I responded, I said, so your wife is carrying somebody else's baby. In other words. And she said, no, I got my wife pregnant. So, okay. In their mind, they think I got my wife pregnant. So that's what we're dealing with these days. But people scared to say it. Right. But I just say, okay, I just wanted to get a little understanding about what's going on in the world so I know how to preach. Amen. Because most people, that's where we live in. That's the age we living in. Amen. We living in those days where they inventing evil things. Father God, in the name of Jesus, I ask you to bless the food, the spiritual food that we're about to receive. Let it be nourishment to our spiritual body. Let your written word become your living word, where we can rightly divide your word of truth. In Jesus' name I pray. That is all saved. Amen. Amen. Let me put my glasses on, because I remember I used to laugh at my grandmother and grandfather. When they would put their glasses on, I'd be laughing. Now I'm my grandmother in them age. Now I got to put the glasses on the tip of my nose. Amen. And now the children laughing at me. Even your music selection changed when you get older. See, when we were young, and Mama then would put Bobby Blue Band on, I said, Mama, we don't want to hear that. We want to hear the Beastie Boys and Run DMC. And LA Dream Team. You know what I'm saying? That's like we was in the 80s. Now when Johnny Taylor come on, I say, hey. Come on, y'all ain't gonna say it all your life, man. I thought I was dealing with some spiritual people, not religious folks, man. Come on now. You know what I'm saying? When Al Green and B.B. King come on, I say, hey. When you get older, you say, hey. When I hear Candace Station, I'm a victim, hey. I used to laugh at that song. Now I'm saying, hey, to that song. Because they're saying something positive. Now they get songs like, yep, nope, my nigga. If the young generation can dance to that, I might as well bring out B.B. King and Al Green, because they saying something positive. This generation dancing to songs with no substance. Nope. Yep. Nope. Amen. In the book of Acts, we come to be revived. And I've been praying all day. Satan seems like he just been messing with me because he know God got something for somebody in store for something. You know what I'm saying? I know when Satan started attacking me, I said, God, you got something. You see, Satan always act up on his way out. He got a habit of just acting on his way out. When Satan is acting up, that's your confirmation that the blessing is on the way. Every time I got blessed, it was Satan said like he act up so I would enjoy my blessing. Wow. Acts chapter 20. He gonna act up the worst, especially when the bigger the blessing, the bigger the act up. Don't fool around here and get ready to get married. Kids gonna act up, friends gonna act up. The ones that pat your back when you were single. And on the wedding, they're gonna say, we ain't got the money for the dresses. Okay, I'm the only one to deal with that. Oh yeah, you're right. Acts chapter 20. And I want y'all to leave your Bibles up because that's where I preach from. Amen. Acts chapter 20, verse 6. All right. Acts chapter 20, verse 6. When you have it, say amen. Amen. But we sailed away from Philippi after the days of the unleavened bread, and in 5 days joined them at Troas, where we stayed 7 days. Right. In other words, a week. All right. Now, on the first day of the week, which was Sunday, all right, when the disciples came together to break bread, they was having communion. Sunday evening. Paul ready to depart the next day. See, Paul had to leave on Monday.
All right.
So he wanted to give him much information as possible before he left, because he wasn't going to come back no time soon.
Right.
And a lot of times, when you get ready to make a final departure, you want to depart whatever you can into people who you're going to try to make a difference in a person's life that you may not see again.
Right.
So then you understand why Paul had to do what he did. He said he was ready to depart the next day, spoke to them, and continued his message until midnight. See, it's only long when you ain't saying nothing. When you got some people, just like James Brown say, talking loud. Right? But if you're saying something, people don't watch the clock. But we ain't saying nothing, that means you ain't. It seems like it's longer. You know, there's an old saying that a good sermon don't need to be long. And the flip side, a bad one shouldn't be. Verse 8, there were many lamps in the upper room where they were together. And in a window sat a certain young man named Eutychus. The Bible don't waste words. A certain young man named Eutychus, who was sinking into a deep sleep. I pray that this don't be nobody here. He was overcome by sleep. And Paul continued speaking or preaching. He fell down from the third story and was taken up, not alive, but Paul went down, fell on him, and embracing him, said, "Do not trouble yourself, for his life is in him." Now when he had come up, had broken bread, they went on, had communion, and eaten, and talked a long while, even unto daybreak. He continued preaching. He departed, and they brought the young man in alive. The one that died. They brought him in alive, doing church service. And they were not a little comfortable. They were so happy. Because they was in church service, and they left the church service happy. And that's, I'm gonna hang that for my title. The title of this Easter speech is "A Church Service That's Worth Remembering." A church service that's worth remembering. You know what? I found out, son. You know what I found out?
Tell me that.
When you have something going on at your church that's worth remembering, that's where sinners come.
Come on.
Let me say that one more time. And it's I'm not talking against church stuff.
Come on.
Because I'm a churchy person.
Right.
Yeah.
Sinners don't come to Urshan programs.
Talk about it.
There's some stuff sinners don't come to, y'all.
Come on.
There's some stuff is only for church folk.
Yes, sir. Right.
That's why I told my kid, we're going to have a low rider Sunday.
Talk about it.
Sinners come to that stuff.
Come on.
And the groupies come with them. Somebody don't have religious on me. We're going to have a Harley Davidson Sunday. Because sinners come to that kind of stuff.
Talk about it.
And I want to start doing stuff that sinners come to. And I'm not going to be ashamed, because I said that I know it's certain stuff we got to deal with that comes with sinners.
Amen.
Now y'all trying to act like
Talk about it.
We're gonna be prayed up on the marijuana smell. We're gonna be prayed up on the Hennessy. We all gonna be prayed up because that comes along with sinners. Because most church folk don't want that. But I want to give stuff to attract sinners. Let me give you some quick history, and I'm going to get to the lesson. All right. Paul was on his third missionary journey. It was in Acts chapter 13 through Acts chapter 20. And Paul goes on 3 different missionary journeys. He would go from city to city, winning people to the Lord, and establishing churches and building up leadership, and stayed there long enough to empower them. And then he'd leave and go to the next city. His first journey was in chapter 13. His second journey was in chapter 16. Now, here we are in chapter 20. Paul and some of his ministry companions, now we find ourselves in verse 6. And let me walk you through chapter 20. Verses 6 to 12 of chapter 20, and let us look at a couple of things about the Apostle Paul. The first thing is the place of the Apostle Paul. He went to Troas in verse 6. The second thing about the Apostle Paul, let's look at the plan of the Apostle Paul in verse 7. What was his goal? And thirdly, and finally, verses 8 to 12, the plight before Paul. The plight deals with something negative, trouble, trial, or a dilemma. And as long as you're in church, as long as you're trying to do right, you're going to experience some kind of dilemma.
Amen. Talk about it.
Especially if you got souls on your mind. That's why the Bible says, he who wins souls is wise. Don't you know there's a special gift for soul winners? Because some people get saved and get lazy. When I got saved, I know I'm a soul winner. And I just want to show you 3 things that Paul had to face. Paul's place, Paul's plan, and Paul's plight. All right. If you look at verse 6, he said, but we sailed away from Philippi after the days of the unleavened bread and came to a place called Troas in 5 days. We stayed there 7 days. And it was see, sometimes when Paul went to Troas, it'll take 5 days. But sometimes it may take you longer to get to the same place. It used to be easy to get people to come to church. Now it take a little bit more time to get them to get here.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
Yes, Lord. You ain't lying.
Verse 7, we looked at the place. Look at this plan. If you read verse 7, notice it was the first day of the week. It was Sunday, the Lord's day. The disciples came together. It's the Lord's people to break bread. It was the Lord's Supper. It was a joint communion service. And Paul preached to them until midnight. And many of them were working people like us. And when you teach it to working people, you need to be on it to get people home because they got to go to work. Let's look at Paul's plight in verse 8. It was many lights, many candles in the upper room where they were at. In verse 9, there sat in a window a certain young man named Eutychus, who was sinking to a deep sleep, and he was overcome by sleep. And as Paul was long preaching, he fell down from the 3rd story, and he was taken up dead. And that's the end of the story. May the Lord watch. Between me and thee, while we absent, one from another. That's the end of the story. Now I can leave now. But I want to dig a little deeper. Can I look at it another angle? Let's look at it.
Talk about it.
And I would say, can I get y'all the hood version of it?
Amen. Take to the hood. Amen.
Because that's the version that we can relate to.
Come on now.
First of all, I do word study. And I wanted to look at what that crazy name means.
What that mean? Yeah, who that is?
Eutychus. And Charlie, you know your pastor ain't got no sense.
See?
I was saying his name, Eutychus. Eutychus. And I said, if you fall out of the window, Eutychus too. So now I know why they named me Eutychus. Only Pastor Stan think of stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? God give me a mind that nobody else think about. I don't think no other preacher would have come up with nothing like that. That's why they named me Eutychus too. Eutychus.
Yeah.
Because if you fall out the window, you would cuss.
You would. Talk about it.
But the name Eutychus, his name means fortunate. Fortunate.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good, man.
But in church, something unfortunate happened to him.
In church. In church.
Look where he was sitting. Out of all the places to sit, he could sit in the pulpit, he could sit in the choir stand, he could sit on the pew, he could sit in the back, he could sit over there with that young lady sitting in the back chair. Out of all places to sit,
Come on.
why would he choose the window to sit in? On the third, in Pacific, he said the 3rd floor.
Third floor.
I mean, this brother sitting on the 3rd floor in the window.
In the window.
In the window.
sitting in the window. He was slipping. As Paul goes on, he begins to slip. Then he begins to sleep. He's sitting and slipping. He's sleeping and finally he's sinking. He's sinking and falls out the window from the 3rd floor and he dies. He died doing church service. The question is, what caused him to fall? Because even when I'm asleep, whenever I start leaning, I'm automatically. Gravity wakes you up. Right. Women, no matter how sleepy you are, you're never going to sleep on top of your child. No. It's just something in a human nature not to fall over on your child or fall over. No matter how sleepy you are. It's just human nature. Come on, Dad. But the stuff we dealing with, it ain't regular stuff no more. Come on. People don't have, what's normal these days? See, what's your normal ain't somebody else's normal. Maybe it was the lateness of the hour. I came up with a few things while you fell asleep. Maybe it was the lateness of the hour, Rhonda. Maybe it was the stuffiness of the room. Because it did say there was a lot of candles burning. Yes, sir. And heat rises to the top. And he was on the 3rd floor. So it could have been, you know, whenever you got candles burning, it's a certain stuffiness in the house. Right.
Help us, Lord. Help.
Or maybe it was the closeness of the world that he had because he was in the window and in the church. So it could be that he was thinking about something in the world. Usually when you think about the world, church stuff makes you sleepy. Because he was sitting in the window, not in the pew, not in the choir stand, but in the window. He had one eye in church and one outside the church. Or maybe it was the longness of the sermon. Or maybe it was the dullness of the worship. Come on. We really don't know what it was. All we know that he fell asleep in church. And I was going to name this sermon, Don't Fall Asleep in Church. But that's too obvious. That's too obvious. Because people really stay awake when I say that. And I don't want nobody to feel guilty when I'm preaching. And he died. And I come to tell y'all that all the eunuchs are not dead. That's the plot before Paul. And when you get to verse 12, everybody leaves saying, what a church service we had. I ain't never seen it on that order. I ain't never seen nothing like that. And I want to share with you about a church service that's worth remembering. All right. Come on. I see 3 things in this lesson here. Y'all know I'm an expository preacher? You're going to get 3 points in the close. I see 3 things in this lesson. Listen, I see 3 things in this lesson. Can I pull it out of here?
Yeah, man. Talk about it.
I see 3 things. A church service that's worth remembering, or a church worth going to, is one. Firstly, it's one where there is a connection with fallen people.
That's good.
A church service that's worth remembering, or a church that's worth going, is one where there is a connection with fallen people. Most churches don't connect with people who fail. Verse 10, Paul went down and fell on him. He fell, Paul said, I'm going to fall with you. The problem is, people don't go to your church because you don't fall down with them. The Bible said, cry with those who cry. Weep with those who weep. Don't go over there and quote scripture. Cry with them.
Come on, Dad.
Somebody call you, they say, don't call the pastor. He's going to come and quote scriptures. You know, a lot of times when I go, they say somebody got killed, got shot. I said, man, what nigga did it? Right. What nigga did that? Right. You know, that ain't cool, man. Right. Man, they shouldn't have did that. Who killed Nipsey, man? What kind of message is this? People want you to connect with them.
Man.
People don't go to your church because you don't connect with them. You come here. Yeah, Psalms 24 says, fret not. Nobody want to hear me. Don't show me quotes.
Fret not.
You know what the Bible say? Fret not thyself because the evil do neither be envious of. And we like, oh boy. I'm trying to find a nigga that shot my homie. Just cry with me a little while.
Man.
I'm reminded of the people at our church. Their child died, and the son is screaming and hollering in the hospital. And the mother was another faith. She come on there. Yeah, God said, be ye separated and come out among them. They screaming and holler because their baby is dead. Got a dead baby. You know the Bible said, Psalm 23, you know what I'm saying? The Lord is our shepherd. I shall not want.
Talk about it. Keeping it real, keeping it real. Keeping it real.
You know what I was doing?
Man. Touch and agree.
Connect with sinners. Connect with the fallen people. That's why nobody come to your church. You don't know how to connect with people.
Talk
Paul
about
had a connection with him. Paul left ministry to do ministry.
That's a good one.
Paul left ministry to do ministry. Because some people so religious, he look at it, he over there with them. No, I'm making a connection.
Talk about it. Amen.
Paul was preaching, but he came out the pulpit.
Right. Come on.
And went down on the floor to connect with somebody that fallen.
Yes, he did.
Or maybe that's why the church is falling off. Because the church probably failed with connecting with fallen people. The church don't like to associate with fallen people. Gang members, prostitutes, gays, lesbians, drug dealers, drug users, drug dealers, homeless people, and broke people who never come back. We have to go and find people who left the church and connect with them first. Then bring them back to where we lost the connection. We need to get that connection back with fallen people. Take off your church clothes. Go connect with some people. Connect with them that got pregnant out of wedlock. Take off your preacher robe. Connect with somebody who's been divorced. Connect with those who on drugs. Connect with them who join gangs. Young people join the gang. Connect with them. Because they join the gang because they feel somebody showing them love. Connect with them who went to jail. Connect with the strippers. Paul went down and connected with him. Don't turn your nose at them because they're falling.
Talk about it.
Because you could have fallen too. But by the grace of God, there goes you.
That's true.
A church service that's worth remembering is one where there's a connection with fallen people. Secondly, somebody say secondly. A church service that's worth remembering or worth going to is one where there is, secondly, where there's compassion toward fallen people.
Compassion. Okay.
Compassion toward.
Amen.
Because most people, when they fall, once they get up, say, "You all right? Okay.
Right.
Don't leave me where I was."
Amen.
Because most people, they still tender. Their wounds haven't even healed. You leaving them, and sometimes people see. I'm not worried about who's around when they fall. I always worry about who come around when they're ready to get back up.
Yeah.
Because when a woman coming through a divorce, she may be real. She just looking for somebody to do it better than what she left. And you got some brother, he know that she needs some kind of love. So he walk in there and really mess around her because he know that she probably needs somebody to love. And he said, well, I'm going to step in there just to kind of, you know what I'm saying? Got some love for you. And you saying the right stuff. So it's easy to connect with a person that's showing the right stuff.
Right.
But when you have compassion, when you have compassion on fallen people, it's from the heart. See, Paul not only fell on him, but Paul, he showed affection toward him. In verse 10, he embraced him. The Bible said he embraced this man. As he fell, Mr. Lewis, he fell on him and he embraced him.
Right now.
Paul embraced them. Everybody needs affection. The hardest criminals need affection. Jesus had compassion for everyone, compassion, sympathy, pity, and concern for the suffering or the misfortune of others. And understanding and concern and sensitivity. See, Jesus was sensitive towards sinners. Remember Zacchaeus? They said he went to go home to be with a sinner. But Jesus had compassion on Zacchaeus. They hated Zacchaeus because he took their taxes. But Jesus knew that it was a sinner that needed somebody to show compassion. He had all that money, but nobody loved him. So Jesus said, I know that everybody hates you, but I'm going to show you love, because Jesus had compassion. The woman who was caught in the act of adultery. They hated, they wanted to stone her, but Jesus said, neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. He had compassion. When he fed the 5,000 people, the disciples said, send them away. We in a desert place. Jesus said, no, we can't send them away. He had compassion. That's why he fed them. Somebody said, you need
compassion.
Compassion. Compassion is, he understood what being hungry was like. Compassion is a kind of tolerance you have for people who don't quite measure up to this world standard. Somebody say compassion.
Compassion.
Maybe that's why sinners ain't at church no more.
Talk about
Ain't nobody showing no compassion. Because nobody shows them love. Embrace me. Eutychus is a millennial.
Come on, Jack.
Talk about
He's a young adult. And he has fallen out of church. At least he was there.
Amen.
But he's falling out of church, y'all.
Good, Pastor.
And many of our churches are losing millennials because they're falling out of church. And the sad thing is that we don't have a plan of fire. We just sing and shine. In religion folk, see, we don't sing those worldly songs. How many souls you winning? See, but tell me how many souls you winning with those songs.
Come on.
See, because they may criticize me for singing a worldly song and making it spiritual.
That's all right.
But the people who singing those songs, how many souls they winning with them? So if you're going to sing them, win souls with it.
Talk about it.
Amen.
That's all right.
Keep it real. Amen. It's a good one.
Sounds good, Doc.
Because church folk have forgotten what the real folks are. Because they've been in church so long, they don't know where to find sinners. They don't know
There it is.
how to show sinners affection.
There it is.
They don't know how to embrace them when they fall.
There it is.
Embrace, the word embrace, to hold someone or something closely in one's arm as acceptance or support. To welcome someone, make one feel welcome and wanted to receive them with open arms.
All right?
We got to receive them, y'all.
Amen.
You're right about it.
You know, when you invite people who ain't used to coming to church, they may not know how to act in church. But
Amen.
don't look down your nose because they don't know how to act like you in church.
That's right.
You know, we have people coming out church, they don't quite get it yet. You know what I'm saying? But don't, just work with them.
Amen.
Be patient, because you didn't know what to do when you first got here. I was selling dope. I drove my low out of the church. I had dope in the car.
Yeah, Doc.
All right?
Talk about it.
I didn't know.
Keep it
I
real.
wasn't a church person.
Yeah.
But somebody didn't criticize me. They connected with me. They showed compassion. They didn't know that they was connected with a preacher 10 years later. They showed compassion to Pastor Stan, but back then they were showing compassion to Baby.
Amen.
Talk about it. That's it. That's it.
A church service that's worth remembering is where there's a connection with fallen people. Secondly, a church service that's worth remembering or worth going to has compassion toward fallen people. Thirdly, a church service that's worth remembering is where there is communication on the behalf of fallen people.
Amen. On the behalf. Communication. It's a
I
good
need
one.
somebody to speak up for them.
Come on.
Man.
Help us.
When people speak up for the less fortunate, it makes them feel special.
There it is.
And people always gravitate to an area or place where they feel special.
There it is.
Come on,
Amen.
women, you like to go home when you know somebody gonna make you feel. That's why we like surprise parties. Because somebody got together and say, we gonna make this person feel special.
There it is.
Church folks don't get quiet. Y'all don't make sinners feel special.
Come on now.
You want to feel special? Make somebody else who not nobody making them feel special. Let the church make the sinners feel special. That connection, compassion, communication.
Yeah.
Where there's no compassion, there can be no connection. Where there's no connection, there can be no communication. Where there's no communication, there ain't gonna be no compassion or no connection. So you got to connect first, have compassion, then start communicating.
Right.
Got to come together. That's right.
But see, he fell on him, he connected with him. He embraced him, had compassion. Then Paul said, don't trouble yourself, for his life is still in him.
Communicate.
He was communicating on his behalf. They said, oh, he's dead. He said, no. Y'all said he dead, but I'm going to talk for him.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to communicate for the fall on the behalf of the fallen person.
Right.
I'm going to do the communication because he can't speak. Because y'all said he's dead, now he acted like what y'all say. See, it ain't what you call this what I answer to. See, Paul was answering for him.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
See, Paul said he's alive. From death to life because Jesus told Peter, when you get converted, strengthen your brother. The power of life and death is in the power of the tongue.
It's in there. It's in there. It's in there.
So Paul knew that the power of life and death was in the tongue. Paul said, oh, his life is still in him.
Amen.
Because he spoke life over this brother that they said that was dead. No matter how strung out people look, there's still hope. Because with man, nothing is possible. Something is impossible. But with God, all things are possible.
Amen.
To them that believe. And if you got to believe, you're going to live. When they told us that my wife had cancer, I believed she was going to live. I said, see, people say, oh, he going to start taking care of a dying woman. No, I said, life is still in her. Because I spoke it because life is in the power of the tongue. Speak to your situation. Say, you will live and not die.
Preach that word, preach. Preach the word, preach. Amen.
A church service that was remembering. First, there had to be a connection with the fallen people. A church service that's worth remembering or going to, we have to have compassion toward fallen people. Fallen people. A church service that's worth remembering, there should be communication on behalf of fallen people. And lastly, a church service that's worth remembering is a celebration over a fallen person.
Amen.
I said a celebration over a fallen person. Verse 11, Paul served communion and continued to talk a little longer into daybreak. They said they brought the young man in alive. And everybody else was comforted. Everybody left saying, what a church service. And I bet the next time Eutychus went to church, he didn't sit too close. Because he been converted. Because the Bible said when you get converted, strengthen your brother. Some places you won't need to go no more. The places I used to go, I don't have a desire to go no more. The problem is you keep going to the places he delivered you from. I'm not strong enough to go to certain places. Because when God sets you free, you don't have to do the things you used to do. You make a change. Look at your neighbor and say, you make a change in your life. You know why we should show a connection. You know why we should have compassion. Communication to fallen people. Because that's what God did for you.
It is.
When I was sinking deep in sin, far from the peaceful shore, very deeply stained within, sinking to rise no more. But the master of the sea, he heard my despairing cry. And from the waters, look at your neighbor, he lifted me. Now safe am I. He may not come come. But I guarantee he'll be there on time. What was Eutychus? What was said about Eutychus? But what was in him said one thing, and what was said over him said another thing.
Ma'am.
Outside of Eutychus, they said death. Outside, y'all saw dope dealer stand. But inside, there was pastor stand. Outside, they saw a prostitute. But inside, they saw an evangelist. Somebody said, it ain't about what I look like on the outside. It's what God put in me. And greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. Isn't God all right? It's about what's on the inside. Paul said life is still here. It's something on the inside that makes me feel rich when I don't have a dime. It's something on the inside. It won't let me hold my peace. It makes me run when nobody's chasing me. It makes me cry when nothing's wrong with me. It's something on the inside. And there's a songwriter that said it's something on the inside. Working on the outside. Oh, what a change in my life. When I was young, my mother bought me a clown, a balloon clown, Sister Shana. And what I used to do when I was 6 years old, I used to try to hit that clown. And that clown would bounce back up. And I said, I try to kick that clown. When I kicked the clown, it came right back up. I said, what I'm going to do, I'm going to throw it up high. And I'm going to watch it fall. When it fell, it popped back up. And I said, I'm going to ask my grandmother why this clown won't stay down. Why I keep throwing it. I keep kicking it. I keep hitting it. But it keeps popping back up. And when I asked my grandmother, why do it keep popping back up? She said, son, it's something on the inside of that clown. And I stopped by to pay a leap of faith. It's something on the inside that make me keep coming to church. It's something on the inside that make me love my enemies. It's something on the inside that make me bless you when you curse me. I don't know what it is, but it's just something on the inside. Look at your neighbor. I say, I got Jesus down on the inside. That's why he put clapping in my hand. He put running in my feet. And he put joy in my soul. Somebody said down on the inside. It's something about Jesus that makes me feel good. I wouldn't have a religion that I couldn't feel sometimes. Somebody said down on the inside. Look at your neighbor and say, get up, stay up, speak up, but don't ever give up, because this joy that I have, the world didn't give it, and the world can't take it away, because I got something on the inside that's keeping me alive. No matter how you fall, no matter how hard I fall, I keep bouncing back up, because God put me through it. All because one Friday, I said one Friday, they put him on the cross. Somebody said, he died. Didn't he die? Look at your neighbor and say, didn't he die? Didn't he die? But he made a connection with his father. I said he made a connection with his father. His father showed him compassion. Did his father communicate it? That's why the Bible said, if you believe that God raised Jesus from the dead, thou shalt be saved. Somebody say saved till your hands look new. Saved till your feet did too. Somebody say saved. Oh Lord. I said, isn't he all right? I said, isn't he all right? And that calls for celebration. I said, that ain't how the story ends, but he got up If he got up, you get up. So Paul said, man, get up. I said, get up. Get up. Don't let the devil keep you down. Someone said, keep getting on up because it's God is keeping you alive. He the one that's pulling you through. He pulled me out of some situation because I couldn't stay down. Look at your neighbor and say, I refuse to stay down. I said, won't he do it? I said, won't he do it? I said, won't he do it? Put your arms around your neighbor and say, neighbor, have you any rivers you just can't cross? Have you any mountains you just can't seem to? Somebody say, but God specializes in things that seem impossible, and he'll do what no other power, Holy Ghost power,